This is for the I part of I wave. So I wave has this little I, and what we want to do is we want to find a way to grow this I up, right? So it becomes the big I. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the way Muji was describing it over here, it's, you know, attachment and why aren't I getting it? And what he talks about over here is actually not what I talk about. He talks about witness and I talk about wetness. And it's a little similar because it definitely needs to be unidentified. But I want to actually position myself relative to practice of mental inquiry in order to wake. I haven't really seen it work. I've seen people in the presence of Muji or Punjaji, or maybe Ramana Maharshi if they were lucky, you know, come home and they're like, oh yeah, and you ask them something and they say, who is the I that is asking this? Are you familiar with this form of spirituality? And when you actually have that realization of realizing that you are not what you're identified with, it's massive, right? Who's had that at moments? Who hasn't had it? Tonight's the night, and who wasn't listening?
Which I?
Which I would ask.
That's a broad
Very good, very good. So here's the slider.
Who's not sure?
Who's not sure? And who is it that's not sure? So here's the slider, and you know, so call out when I go across the, I'm going to move this slider, and call out when we get to about where you are. There.
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 Yeah.
There.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Sometimes.
Right now, it depends on
I'll go back.
No.
This one there.
Somewhere in there.
So imagine that this I isn't a separate observer. So what I don't like about the observer witness saying just look at it is you can see something, you're outside it. Right? Eyes, by the very nature of them, imply separation. And if something's separate from you, then it hasn't really melted down into oneness. It's still an object and you're still the subject. Right? Whereas with wetness, you know, it's kind of a clever way of saying it, but it means something. With wetness, we expand to completely meet and include whatever's bugging us. And because we stop resisting it and allow lots of wet attention to move through it, it actually stops existing as anything separate. In other words, it actually stops existing, and then when the only thing that exists is I, then all kinds of really cool stuff starts to manifest. So this is the part that they don't tell you in Eastern spirituality, is that last line I just said. They will say there is nothing you want more than this witness consciousness that knows that it is the I am and all that. But they won't tell you what Jesus said, which is that, and all else shall be added unto you. Aha! You know, take no thought for your life, for what you shall eat, drink, read, marry, you know, whatever it is that is your fixation that you're trying to fix with your separate consciousness. And seek first the kingdom of heaven, which in the original is pretty similar to the infinite wave, the original meaning of that in Aramaic. Seek ye first the infinite wave, the I wave, and all else shall be added unto you, because your Father, which is the same thing, already knows what you need, and it's infinitely supplying it all the time. However, and this is the thing, it's infinitely supplying it in a slightly different dimension than the one that we're living in when we're in the trance of separation. So when you're in the trance of separation, you can say, well, where is it? Where are those thousands of dollars? Where is that soulmate? You know, where is that health or whatever? And you can say that forever, and as long as you say that, you're staying in that separate consciousness. You will, the universe will say, yes, my child, yes, where is it? You know, it'll agree with you. However, if you can pull it off, pull this slider over here, and of course you don't pull it. Best way to think of it is it gets sucked in and seduced in, and that's where wetness is a lot more fun. Then if you can get the slider over to the oneness, this is the mystical oneness, then you start to notice that you're part of a system that is benevolent. That even if all around you there's a horrible economy, you don't have to believe in it. Even if all around you there's kind of like, everyone's got some kind of illness. As it says in the Bible, 10,000 shall fall on your left and 10,000 shall fall on your right. But if you're with me, you'll be fine. And that really, who's had those experiences at moments in your life? Yeah. If you've ever had them, then you could always be having them. It's impossible that such a reality could exist and then go away. It's our attention that goes away from that dimension. And it isn't even the dimension, it's that which contains all dimensions. But relative to where we are now, it's like a dimension of consciousness called oneness, in which everything just happens by itself. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't get to be creative and make choices, but it's a lot more fun. It's a kind of a more fun level of creativity and making choices. So everything is to be gained by being able to cross this. Really, it's like a river that has sharks in for a lot of us. Because what this means, going from the small eye to the large eye, is, to a very great degree, is experienced like a death. You know what I mean? Anybody in that? Anyone feel that you're in that right now? That the things that are limiting you are because you're going through a sort of an ego death? Or do you just think it's because you haven't done the right affirmations or made enough phone calls or got the right flyer out? Except for Jeremy, that's probably true. But if you became one with God, you'd get all this energy and everything. It's a complete universal solvent. There's absolutely nothing that is more powerful than this. No abandonment chemicals, no cancer, no economy, we know how strong these things can be in terms of they hit us in waves and they catch us up into these, especially the consensus reality trances. It's like a matrix and we're all caught in it and we believe it. And everyone else believes it, so we feel that we would be crazy not to believe it. And to pick yourself out of the consensus fear matrix that is human consciousness is like being a tar baby. Because you sort of press, and you pull yourself up, and then you lean on here and you get stuck there. And somebody, you think that they're helping, you think that the person you're talking to is down with liberation, but actually they just have another set of matrix beliefs that they're replacing it with. You're following what I'm saying? And for myself, it's been like one trance after another. Oh, that was another trance.